So right now we are starting the section about the projects in electricity grids, and I would like to invite moderator of the panel, Artem Pasko, expert on electricity grids development at the Reform Support Team at the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine. Artem, you are welcome to the scene. I'm inviting to the scene also Marcos Lipold, the team leader, Energy Transport, Green Deal, DG NEAR, European Commission. Later, after the speech, I would like to announce 4 projects that will be presented at this panel. These are the cooperation with the GE Vernova on concept of development of the Ternopil Power Island microgrid. Another case would be presented later, cooperation with the Lithuanian Embassy and the International Energy Cluster on the renovation of energy infrastructure of Mykolaiv Obolenergo. Another case would be presented, cooperation with EDF-IN on smart metering and grid digitalization. And later, cooperation with GE Vernova on development of the mobile substation fleet. Dear Artem, dear moderator and speakers, I wish to you fruitful discussion and presentations.
Good afternoon, dear participants of the conference. Today's session will focus on the mechanisms of cooperation between Ukrainian and international companies in the field of power grids, using specific examples. I support the Minister of Energy of Ukraine. If you're planning to work in the Ukrainian market, there is no reason to wait until the war is over. Start establishing contacts with Ukrainian companies now. Get to know each other, communicate, and plan joint projects. In this case, you'll have a better starting position. Each following presentation in case study on how to establish international cooperation and achieve success even during the war. The speakers have prepared their stories, and we can start immediately. The first speaker will tell us about decarbonization of power grids, how to build back better and to integrate European standards and policies. He is team leader of Energy, Transport, Green Deal, NG and EAR in European Commission. Please meet Marcos Lipold.
Good morning or good day, everyone. Does this work? Yeah?
Work?
Okay, good. Thank you. I think we've just actually had an excellent panel that told us all about the challenges that Ukraine currently has in terms of just maintaining the grid for electricity and the heating system, and also the challenges in terms of moving to a more distributed energy system. Frankly, up until really right now, we've been very much at the Commission, DG NEAR in the energy field, but also Ukraine with our interlocutors, the various ministries and industry. We're very much focused on winterization. That is because of the constant Russian attacks on the energy system, to really just bring back whatever we can, especially baseload electricity, bring back, restore, and whatever we can sort of build that up too. So we've not really, I think, really started with the distributed energy system that was outlined, where participants are quite clear sort of how to do it. But as we come out of winter, and I would say latest February, we need to focus much more on building that up. So for winterization, obviously things have already happened. Partially distributed or a more distributed energy system as well, but the focus was very much on gas turbines and gas piston engines. We need to look more at the renewables, especially solar and wind as well, plus battery storage. That combination we don't have sufficiently yet. Ukraine has about 8 gigawatt of solar capacity, but partially because of lack of baseload electricity to balance the system that gets switched off. So that is a waste, but sort of a necessary one to balance the system. A decentralized system also means, and I think all players, participants, consumers understand that now, a much more resilient system and also resilient against attacks. So it's a win-win sort of for everyone to start moving away from the very centralized system that the country typically had. And that means more independent of the grid, more flexible, more digitalization, and smart metering, which is what the projects that we'll see that will get presented will also outline. Actually, the ultimate flexible solution, if you will, is parked right outside this convention center, which is a mobile solar unit combined with a water purification system that can be folded up and moved within minutes. And if you know that in some parts of the country, citizens are paying up to or spending up to 15% of their income on clean water, even those very small solutions, if you will, but highly flexible, can be quite interesting. So most of what we did up till now, because of winterization, has really been focusing on the supply side, getting whatever production capacity we can back online. But there's obviously a huge price in energy savings, meaning the energy that doesn't need to get produced. And that is all about building back better in terms of housing, insulation. It is about moving the demand side in terms of smart meters and the smart grid. But here as well, we need to protect against attacks, which are more in the digital form, or the other production capacities. The Commission is also supporting physical protection, and that is passive protection and air defense. But for smart metering, obviously, the IT walls and protection need to be thought of and built up as well. I think that in general, all over Europe, we're now taking our infrastructure much more seriously in terms of protecting them, protecting all kinds of infrastructure against attacks. Because companies are very proactive, there is already a move sort of away from centralization. There are many companies in Ukraine that are trying to build up their own power generation capacities, even though at this stage it is predominantly to protect themselves against the effects of rolling blackouts. But it is happening, especially in the business parks. And there we need to see that those solutions don't become sort of island solutions, but can be linked up to the grid as well. Hospitals are already looking at installing and are installing solar panel solutions, as do schools. But this system, as it is being changed bottom up and top down, needs to be much better integrated, and that also means cost-reflective tariffs, or things that still need to be worked on. So as the system changes, the system should align with the EU acquis and really build back better. It should be a consistent strategy. And there are several pathways which Ukraine has already embarked upon, which can lead and strategize in a more harmonized way. There's the National Energy and Climate Plan that Ukraine has adopted in June this year, which are the energy and climate plans out to 2030. So there are goals and milestones. So aligning with EU emissions and efficiency standards, for example, is key here. There's the so-called Ukraine plan, which has reform items in there in terms of regulator independence, the cost-reflective tariffs that I mentioned, having the right market structure. And then there is the entire process towards accession to the EU, where we have what we call the screening process. It's currently already ongoing for the purchasing side. Energy will be next year. So those are all platforms, corporations, where we work very closely with the Ukrainian institutions in order to also sort of get the right market design. And ultimately, I would argue, in terms of insurance, and there's always been talk about war insurance, one of the best insurances for investors is a sort of firm march towards the EU acquis, which gives investors a lot of the confidence to already come in now, even though the war is still raging. One example, folks, is the electricity market reforms. We're adopting and implementing the EU electricity integration package, for example, over the next year is key. Also, what else could be done in terms of permitting, simplifying and speeding up permitting, connections to the grid, and additional financial support that needs to be scaled up for these solutions. That is key. And there, let me just highlight, and we've touched on it yesterday as well, the Pillar 2 of the Ukraine facility, the Ukraine investment framework, as we call it, and where we are currently evaluating the sort of second call for tenders. There we already have a lot of those projects, I think, that will now be presented and that the previous panel focused on and to which I alluded. So at municipal level, sustainable energy generation in general at local level, smart grid projects, all of that is starting on the investment side as well. And as we, coming out of winter, will really focus on picking up speed on the distributed energy system. A lot of the solutions and approaches that the previous panel has actually presented will also come to pass. So that's where I am really very, very confident and very much looking forward to the projects that we'll now see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leopold, for your speech. So we can move on. And why should a microgrid be created in Ternopil, and what are its prospects? We will hear from the Deputy Mayor of Ternopil, Vladislav Stemkovsky, the General Director of Ternopil Oblnergo, Volodymyr Guman, and the Executive Director, Business Development, Electrification, Decarbonization of GE Vernova, Olivier Jamar. You're welcome.
Доброго дня.
Good morning. Ternopil is located in the western Ukraine, and with a population of 250,000 people, and approximately 100 megawatt. They consume the electricity. Actually, we do not have any power plant. We do not generate electricity. And actually, there was no necessity because in the distance of 150 kilometers, there are 2 nuclear power stations. So everything was going smoothly. And the town was functioning pretty well. And we didn't face any electricity issues so far. But with the start of this full-scale invasion, with regard of the destruction and damage that the plants have experienced. So we can say that Ternopil has experienced blackouts as well, and there were different issues mentioned, I would say, with the housing, with the electricity supply, with water supply. So they erode the issue of the necessity to be self-sustainable, to be independent on energy supply. So nowadays we are looking into the possibility of create some kind of generator together with the Ternopil Energo for the 41 megawatt generator on the basis of the specific accumulation grid, which gives us 100% supply of the electricity we need. In order to be able to consume the electricity, we are totally dependent on the network, on the entities, and we need some smart system, smart network to generate and not to be able to divide and coordinate. We will not be able to function as the energy or Ternopil Power Island. So. Taking into consideration some prototypes that Ternopil Energo is like the old-fashioned entity. There is nothing similar, because we are thinking of innovative solution of some creative approach to dealing with providing protection to our citizens during the massive attacks of our enemy. Good morning, everyone here. So I am privileged to have my speech here. I would like to say that the electrification of Ternopil started in 1896, when there was the solution with regards to starting the energy supply in Ternopil. Then there was kind of the community, local and city union of electric supply entities under the common name Obl Energo. So it's a kind of the reform that partly approached, for example, nowadays we have partly approached the cooperation with similar companies in Europe. We do remember our history, and we do understand what we expect from the future. Today, Ternopil starts a completely new way of doing business. We think that we want to create a completely new city distribution grid model, which will enable our population and citizens to get this easy reach to the electricity whenever they need it. Today, on this platform, ReBuild Ukraine, we are here to look for the financial tools to implement our strategy with regard of the middle and long-term partnership plans. The first, of course, is the pilot project, which is focused on creating local grids, where the generative grids are supposed to be installed. And of course, we are dealing with the possibility to create this energy power land. It covers the electricity supply for the whole region and suburban territories. And as for the future, we think that we are still working upon creating some automatic division of the electricity in every local community of our region. You do understand that it's not the issue of the short-term perspective, and we need to consider that we might tackle different challenges, but we are open to cooperation. We are open to embrace this challenge. And I would like to say that Ternopil has become the second home for internally displaced persons. and the city is developing, and the need in energy, of course, is increasing. So we need to tackle these issues. And for tackling this, we choose our reliable partners. And I'm happy to give the floor to the director of the company that is usually one of the mainstream technology. So the floor goes to Olivier Jamart, to the company that is one of the most innovative and fast speed moving.
That. Before I start, and beyond being the proud sponsor for this pavilion, you may have noticed on the banner our name, GE Vernova. Let me introduce who we are, because yesterday I realized that many people didn't know who we were. So GE Vernova is a spin-off from General Electric, GE, and I'm sure you all know GE. We went through an IPO back in April 2024, so in some ways we are a very young company, 7 months old company, but with a very old heritage that goes back to Thomas Edison, so more than 100 years ago. Our mission is quite simple. It's to electrify and decarbonize the world. Ambitious, you would say, but we have a very large portfolio of product and technologies spanning from power generation, transmission, and power conversions. If you look at the world electricity, 25% of it is generated with the help of our technology. In fact, our global installed base is over 2,200 gigawatt of power, and 30% of the world utilities use our software. The world utilities are the grid operators, transmission and distribution. They use our software. So in some ways, we have the levers to decarbonize and electrify the world. Now, today we're going to talk about microgrids and Power Island, which is the project we're doing with Chernobyl. Our portfolio, our microgrid portfolio, is transversal to the whole of GE Vernova. That means that we integrate the best products and capabilities from the whole GE Vernova, and we deliver the solution either as CapEx or energy as a service, so as OpEx. Now, about Ukraine, we've been serving the Ukraine market for over 100 years, so this is not new for us. But we have been operating in Ukraine for the last 15, and we have been collaborating with the Ministry of Energy, and I thank them for that, for the last year. In fact, today is our anniversary. This is exactly 1 year ago when we started discussing the centralized Power Island here in Warsaw during ReBuild Ukraine 2023. So that was a year ago. We signed an MOU, collaboration MOU, 7 months later in Berlin about decentralized power, and we started engaging with regions and with municipalities such as Chernobyl pretty much at the same time. So let's talk about the Chernobyl project. Chernobyl is 44 megawatt of combined heat power generation that will be added to the distribution network. Those are currently under procurement or under installation, and they're already financed. What we are proposing here with the microgrid is to enable those generators to run autonomously as a power islands if ever disconnected from the grid. What you need to keep in mind is that any generation on the distribution network only works if it is connected to the transmission line, to the transmission grid. If you get disconnected, then you essentially lose your power unless you operate it manually. And as you have mentioned earlier on, you lose your solar power, which is at the time you need it the most, you actually lose your power. So we have proposed and we have registered as a very small pilot project. So it's registered in the DREAM platform, which is the official platform, a 3 megawatt pilot to demonstrate how a microgrid configuration, a microgrid solution can help transforming or enabling those generators to operate independently from the grid as an autonomous power island. This project, by the way, is still looking for investment. So if you're an investor and you're interested, please come and talk to us at the end of this meeting. So the solution, of course, and that's the ambition of Chernobyl, is to build a pilot that is repeatable and scalable, so we can also deploy those across the whole of Ukraine. What you should know is there are hundreds of projects, like the Chernobyl projects, that are looking for decentralized power on their distribution network, not completely islanded, connected to the grid, but with the ability to run off the grid as needed. Let me illustrate quickly, and I see the time is running away, with a very small, here on behind me, very small illustration. So on the left-hand side, you have the actual configuration, which is essentially connecting new generators to the distribution network and operating them from a control center. Now, in the event that you lose your substation, or in the event that you lose the connection to the high voltage grid, what would happen is that you would be potentially losing all of your power. You will have to shut down the solar because you can no longer operate it, and you can't afford the solar fluctuation on the network, and you will have to dispatch electrical engineers to the substation to disconnect it, and also to the generator site in order to operate those manually and potentially try to synchronize them. So this is not the ideal situation when you are in need for power. On the right-hand side is what we are proposing, which is enabling those generators to run as power islands. You can see that we have added some assets, battery storage, to help smoothing out the solar outputs. It's important. It also helps reducing the generator consumptions of fuel and therefore the emissions. We've added some protection relays. In some cases, the grid is not fully automated, which is not the case of Chernobyl. But in other cases, we may need to add automation. And of course, we've added what we call a microgrid control, also known as an energy management system, which essentially is like a big orchestra conductor. So under the same situation where you would be losing your substation or your connection to the grid, what will happen is this microgrid control will take over and will start managing, operating, and synchronizing all the generators together, will maintain the solar power. You will not have to shut it down because now the solar power will be actively and dynamically managed by this microgrid controller, this energy management system. And as you can see, this solution will really enable additional resiliency, accessibility, availability, but more so security, which is very important for Ukraine. One thing I haven't mentioned, it's about load management. So on the left-hand side, managing your dispatch is not easy. Where is the energy going to go? How do I ensure that my critical facilities are being energized? With a microgrid or with an energy management system, you can decide, you can set your priorities, you can ensure that the energy that you have available goes to the mission-critical facilities. Think about hospitals, think about water management system, or military base, right? And everything else can get shared automatically, so you ensure that you're dispatching the energy to the right place. Now, very quickly, those projects, technically speaking, are not difficult, but to put those projects together, that involves many stakeholders. We, as GeoNova, will provide the solution, turnkey solution, engineers, we will procure the assets, the controllers, and we'll typically work with local EPCs for the civils, for the installation, logistic. This is our model. We cannot do this without the support from the Ministry of Energy, nor from that actually helps a lot with the collaboration with the local authorities, of course, the regional military administration, the DSOs, because it's a real partnership. In both cases, you can see that a public utility is needed, either to own and operate this microgrid, or to purchase electricity from a private developer. Those are the two possible models. In Chernobyl, both models are being used. Some part of it is being financed by public institutions, and other parts are being financed by the private investors. Now, to finish and conclude, there's one key takeaway for you to remember, is microgrid is a way to enable your power generation to continue to autonomously continue to operate even in the event of a grid disconnection. And this is really key. Otherwise, you're losing the power that you're adding at the time that you need the most. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. the city on the wave, the city of shipbuilders, fiancés, brave marines, and not less brave electricians, the city of heroes, my native Mykolaiv. In a difficult moment, many organizations and countries lent a helping hand to Mykolaiv Oblnergo, and today we're talking about the support of Lithuania and what makes it unique. To find the answer to this question, we will be helped by Andriy Kozань, General Director of Mykolaiv Oblnergo, Montas Šlionas, Coordinator of the International Energy Cluster, and Laura Usinskaite, Energy Attaché of Embassy of the Republic of Lithuania to Ukraine.
Hello, everybody. As reiterated through this conference many times, energy is the backbone of modern society. Renovating energy infrastructure is not merely about upgrading equipment or enhancing capacity, as we heard in the previous presenters. It is also about laying the foundation for resilient and sustainable energy future. And distribution network are very important part of this picture. And while it's nothing new, I can say that we are all aware of Ukraine's obligation and commitments under various frameworks, such as Energy Strategy of Ukraine, National Energy or Climate Plan, as well as Green Deal Initiative or Paris Agreement, concept of smart grid, or energy security strategies. And I could go more and more. These documents collectively emphasize the same goals: reducing primary energy consumption, increasing electricity efficiency, boosting the share of renewable energy in the final energy mix, and of course, decentralizing energy generation. Achieving these goals requires active steps in planning and investing in the distribution network. In the previous presentations, we heard the challenges you have faced, and in order to have a proper project plan or all value chain, it takes some time. Lithuanian government, drawing from its own experience, has invested without hesitation in preparing the model for the modernization of Mykolaiv Oblnergo distribution network. This model serves as the foundation for adapting 1-year, 5-year, and 10-year distribution network development documents. Furthermore, this initiative exemplifies regional shareholder cooperation. United by a shared vision of a distribution network that meets EU standards for smart, reliable, efficient, and of course resilient and safe electricity grid, as well ensures all consumers have access to the green energy and enables region to operate in island mode during power shortages. As Mykolaiv Oblnergo moves forward with this project, I encourage all interested parties to engage with the companies and clusters representatives. All contributions and commitments are invaluable to the success of this initiative. I just urge everybody not to hesitate and be active when it's related with the support of Ukraine. Thank you.
Доброго дня, шановні.
Good afternoon, dear participants, dear attendees. Mykolaiv Oblnergo is the
distribution system operator. We are a southern region. Our area is approximately 24,000 kilometers. That makes up about 4% of Ukraine's total area. Our population is about 1 million. We are serving 24 kilometers of transmission lines, 6,000 of transformer substations, and about 500,000 of legal and household consumers. Our region has been one of the most seriously affected by the Russian invasion. Part of the region was occupied, and some of our region still is. As a result of hostilities, more than 1,000 energy facilities were damaged. Transformer, substation, distribution equipment, etc. 36% of 150 kilovolt substations were damaged, 47% of transmission lines, and 14% of the 35 kilovolt transmission line. And that's why we had very little voltage sometimes, or supplied a substandard energy in terms of its quality. Mykolaiv Oblenergo has lost part of its distribution network, and also the emergency schemes were shifted. This slide shows the analysis of losses pre and post reconstruction. As you see that we managed to reduce the losses by 21 after our grids now meet the European standards. Mykolaiv region enjoys 300 days of sun and also has direct access to the sea, which holds a huge potential for our green energy. Unfortunately, in the dilapidated status of the grids, makes it not possible for us to untap that potential in full. To develop the company, we've signed an agreement with the International Energy Cluster aimed at renovating energy infrastructure and to the 20 kilovolt transition. It was fully financed by the government of Lithuania, and we are very grateful for it. We would like to thank the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine for supporting the initiatives, and in conjunction with the Lithuanian embassy, they coordinated this effort. We've already received more than 220 kilovolt transformers already. For 2025, we're planning to do some drafting and designing, and in 2026, the actual effort will be underway. Thank you for listening, and I would like to give it over to Mantas Našlėnas, the coordinator of International Energy Cluster.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I am Mantas Našlėnas, coordinator of International Energy Cluster. Mykolaiv Oblenergo Energy Infrastructure Renovation Project is an initiative implemented by our cluster, aimed at not only restoring infrastructure damaged by the war, but also upgrading it to meet to 20 kilovolt voltage class European standard. Our goal is partnership with international partners to build a modern, reliable, and sustainable electricity distribution grid in the region. This ambitious project requires about 450 million euros and is expected to take about 7-10 years. It involves replacing primary and secondary equipment, automating the grid, modernizing dispatch centers, and enabling island mode operation, allowing the grid to operate independently under certain conditions. Our priority is to modernize two critical substations at that moment in the region, critical in the region infrastructure. The first substation is 150 kilovolt substation that covers the strategically important port area, while the second is a 35 kilovolt substations that supplies residential area. We will begin with upgrades in next year. Preliminary designs for the first two substations are completed. Additionally, digital substations and grid automation will be introduced to support renewable energy integration. The project will enhance the regional energy security, reduce technical losses by more than 20%, and by 2034, we plan to double the renewable energy capacity connected in the grid. This project will lead to significant improvements in SAIDI and SAIFI indicators. This project strengthens Ukraine's energy security and builds sustainable future. We invite international partners to join us in finding the best financial and technical solutions for these pilot projects. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you. If you have some questions, you can ask our participants after session. Okay, thank you. Thanks to Mr. Lippold. As the distance between Paris and Khmelnytsky is reducing faster and faster, what common values and growth opportunities have EDF and Khmelnytsky Oblenergo found? Will answer General Director of Khmelnytsky Oblenergo Alexei Filipchuk and representatives of EDE International Networks, Head of Europe and North America Mathieu Carluer, Deputy COO Stefan Lini, Smart Planning Expert Denny Tsumtsa. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Так, доброго дня усім. Учасникам.
Good afternoon, dear conference attendee. It is an honor to begin my presentation on the development of smart grid and on the project that will be done by Khmelnytsky Oblenergo company. I believe that the platforms are critical for implementing these projects. Our company, first and foremost, has participated in many piloting projects. Then the war broke out, and it resulted in the fact that many projects were stopped and were not implemented in full. Nowadays, I am deeply convinced that the project in question will indeed be fully implemented, and it will lay the groundwork for corporate and technical policy, not just by our company, but for many system distribution operators. Now, let me expand on the company. Khmelnytsk Oblenergo is located in the western part of Ukraine. It is serving almost 600 consumers. We service 30,000 kilometers worth of transmission lines. We have 8,000 substations, and we have about 3,000 staff. Let me stress that Khmelnytsk Oblenergo is a part of the Ukrainian distribution system. That's a state-owned company. So anything introduced will be jointly introduced by other companies that are members of our group of companies. I will not dwell on how digitalization is relevant and smart grids, how important they are. I think it's common understanding now that there's an urgent need in that. What I'd like to say, though, is that the distributed generation is rapidly developing in Ukraine these days. It's critical not just for rebuilding, but it holds a lot of promise for the future. This will ensure that Ukraine would continue joining the ENTSO-A and would meet all the European standards when it comes to the actual grid. Let me also stress the following fact. One of our key international partners, and I'm talking about EDF International Networks, we have already started our cooperation with them. We have signed the memorandum of cooperation was signed by our energy minister. So we've already developed a roadmap. We've prepared all the information we need in order to get started. Not just the piloting, but also the actual effort is underway. The negotiations are almost finalized. We have visited in person the manufacturing facilities of EDF. The roadmap is in place. So I'm sure with this tight-knit cooperation, we will succeed. I'd like to take this opportunity to urge everybody, and I'm reiterating this call and urging you to be a part of interesting project in Ukraine now, as never before. Of course, we are looking for funding, but the results that have been developed now will be good for both parties. Now I'd like to give the floor to my counterparts from EDF.
I'm Mathieu Carluer from EDF International Networks. Just a few words to complete and introduce what we do. EDF Group is one of the world leaders in low-carbon electricity production, as I'm sure you know. And we, as part of the group, are specialists on the DSO side. And we will rely on the experience of Enedis, which is the largest European DSO operating in France and ranked at the International Smart Grid Index #1 2 times in a row. So basically what we do is we provide consultancy services to other DSO everywhere in the world, relying on our own experience and on the experience of the EDF Group. We help DSO face their challenges. Could be on advanced metering infrastructure, use of the data collected, microgrids, automation, cybersecurity. Basically, if it is in the day-to-day activity of a DSO, then we can provide consultancy services and our experience. Let's talk a little bit more about the project that we are doing. First, the strategic challenges from Khmelnytsky-Obenerga distribution network. You saw the numbers before. What we propose and what we focus on is to improve reliability in rural and urban areas of this grid network, because the SAIDI values are really high comparing to European standards. We try also to achieve European standards for grid quality, and as well to go to European standards for equipment and for technical solutions, because we saw other presentators. This is a leading idea of all these projects. We want also to provide solutions to enable energy transition in the area, especially by digitalization of the command control and protection relay in different primary substations. Another goal is to reduce the technical losses and improve the efficiency of the grid. And to finish, of course, this will have a huge impact on social part of the social for the region and economic impact, because it is required for businesses to work and factories to continue working. So these were the main challenges that we wanted to tackle for Chmelnytsky Oblenergo. And well, let's go into how we do that and what we propose. Stefan?
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. To address those key challenges, we have worked with French Treasury and our Ukrainian partner, like Mr. Philip Shuk and his team of Chmelnytsky Oblenergo, with the Ukrainian Ministry of Energy. We have worked on to develop actions of based on 5 main axes. The first point consists in analyzing the network descriptive data in order, of course, to assess its condition and to determine the best levers to improve its performance. The second point is to integrate in our studies the objective to bring the HV network, a Ukraine network, up to the standard, the European voltage, 20 kilovolt. In the same time, modernization of substation appears to be a fundamental point to develop the Ukrainian network, and a fundamental level for better control the HV network and for redesigning the network in a logic of development of smart grid. The fourth point is to test at the scale of a neighborhood to begin to test smart meters in Chmelnytsky area, in Chmelnytsky city district, in order to enhance network intelligence and improve customer engagement. And finally, the last axis consists of equipping the network with a digital and automated solution to improve real-time control and network resilience. So Danny will give you a few words on the 2 projects we will about to start.
Thank you, Stefan. Following the elements Stefan just presented to you, let me introduce you the 2 projects that will serve as strategic channels to advance Chmelnytsky Oblenergo's network development. The first project is about a smart grid roadmap that includes assessing the current network states and improving a strategic network development regarding technical and economical sides. That project has a planned budget of 800,000 and has already been kicked off. We are now in a data collection phase. The second project has a bigger budget of 13 million euros, and it's still pending a final decision by French Treasury. That's our founding partner. And it's more focused on infrastructure modernization. That's primary substation digitalization and transitioning some parts of medium voltage networks to 20 kilovolt. It also aims to provide to Ukrainian DSOs ReBuild, that's our homemade planification and network studies tool based on Dix Island Power Factory. So that 2 projects are scalable to the whole Ukraine, aligning our strategic objective to create a more resilient more efficient and more sustainable distribution network. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I wish you good luck to implement your projects and to develop it. Thank you. Next on our program are two DSOs from industrial regions that have been under regular shelling since February 2022 and work 24/7 under pressure to provide consumers with electricity. Kharkiv and Zaporizhia Oblnergo. We will hear about their experience, needs, and technical solutions, and G. Vernova's representative will tell us why their mobile substations are the best choice and what competitive advantages they have. Please welcome Andriy Stasevsky, General Director, Zaporizhia Oblnergo, Volodymyr Plachun, Deputy Head of Service of Zaporizhia Oblnergo, Vyacheslav Kravtsov, General Director, Kharkiv Oblnergo, and Cedric Alvart, Commercial Leader of GSI Central Europe, G. Vernova.
Добрий день, шановні учасники конференції.
Good morning, dear conference participants. Today I would like to dwell upon our initiative to create, on the basis of the energy division sector, the way we can develop the mobile substation fleet. We do not have like ready-made solution. We have got some insights how it might be developed and introduced. So just a couple of pictures to showcase how deep the destruction by the missile attacks have affected and have damaged the work of energy supply sector. So the eastern regions of Ukraine usually face this picture on everyday basis, unfortunately. So I give the floor to my colleague Volodymyr Plachun.
Also, I would like to thank to our foreign partners that support Ukraine and that cares about the situation, and especially in energy sector. Отже, зверху ви можете бачити графік погодинних відключень.
On the top, you can see the timetable of the regular stop of electricity supply, of which the population of the definite cities is informed beforehand in order to save the energy and sustainability. I would like to say that these are the challenges that our electrical unity system faces. A considerable number of objects of renewable source of energy is attached to the distribution system. With regard to the factor, we can say that it's the division factors, and these are the target for missile and artillery shooting. In order to avoid the problematic cases that the massive attacks usually cause, we have worked out a technical solution. These are this mobile substation fleet or stabilization fleet. In the picture, you can see the substation fleet in the form of the detailed representation, and they are connected to the temporary cable and airways 110 and 150 kilovolt. The grid, the typical grid actually contains one subgrid with the power of 110, 135 megawatt. which is allocated in a couple of sectors. Of course, dependent on the manufacturer, and with regard to the delivery type, it usually the term of delivery and production amounts to from 12 to 15 months. So this type of mobile substantial fleet can be useful during tackling technical issues during some emergency situations. Due to these introductions, we will economize on financial costs, on technological, technical expenses, and provide the consumers with the quality electricity. In addition, the grid will create more capabilities for the like stable and sustainable energy supply, and it will satisfy the need for electricity.
Всіх вітаю.
Hello, everyone. I also would like to say that Kharkiv Obelenерgo and Zaporizhzhia Obelenерgo belong to the state-owned grid operators, so otherwise known as UTSG.
Хочу сказати, що
I just would like to say that in western regions of Ukraine, using on the basis of a group, we can create some renovation and repair workshops for the modernization of mobile substations. And one of our partners with whom we are going to develop cooperation is the Ednova, and the Ministry of Energy of Ukraine has already signed a memorandum with our future partner.
так. Ми вже встигли
So we have already prepared a number of grant applications. We have already prepared technical specifications. We have held a number of highly productive meetings. We have studied the products and services that are needed. We have established a working group that already working effectively on technical issues so as to be able to use such mobile substations. I would like the commercial leader of GSI in Central Europe to Frederick Olver. Over to you.
So good afternoon from my side as well. Thank you very much for inviting me on stage. Thank you very much for having the opportunity to present GE Vernova here, and I tell really also the solution we try to bring to the country and our partners to support in the times as we are. I echo on Olivier Jamard, who was on stage previously, and clearly, what is extremely important to mention here is the clear commitment of GE Vernova to support the people and our partners in Ukraine, as we've done in the past, and especially like now in these important times to receive like what is it that we can do to support. Coming really into where we stand, I think it's important, let's say, to receive like the different occasions we've had to meet with our partners on a DSO level, so distribution system operators, on a TSO level, Ukrenergo and others for the transmission system operators, but really sees like where is the need, where is it that we can support short-term, mid-term, but most important, especially also on our committed and most important short-term strategy. We have had representatives from our company traveling across. You might not know them. I see them on the picture. It's, let's say, like we have our CEO, we have really our Chief Sustainable Officer, who had the opportunity being here last year to show the commitment of our company to find solutions. So what is it that we are trying to bring to the table? And let's say like really focusing on today, on the mobile substations. I try to be, let's say, like rather short, and that's why we've decided, let's say, like really bring up 3 bullet points. I want to give some insights about what is a mobile substation, what's the purpose, how can it, let's say, like really support on a short-term notice, and what are the key benefits. We have seen on the previous slides already to receive like what is a mobile substation. I mean, maybe let me start with a substation first, because many people are probably not aware what a substation is, and I blame no one, because typically substation, they're just sitting in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in the land, but they are key to transport and transmit electricity from one region to the other. And we have seen on the pictures which have been shared on the slide before, let's say destroyed transformers, destroyed switchgear, all of them being part of a substation, which really allows, let's say, to convert electricity to one voltage level to the other one. So the mobile substation is a safe, self-contained solution. It's typically, let's say, like mounted on a trailer. It's integrated in a container or a skid, which will really allow different possibilities to transport it. The key components being the power transformer, converting electricity level from up to down or down to up, whatever is needed. We need the switchgear to, let's say, like disconnect in case of a failure or maintenance. And of course, the protection control scheme, which is literally, let's say, like really the brain and the heart, who really bring, let's say, the digital intelligence to the substation. And auxiliary power, because the different elements you have within that substation need to power, and they need generation from somewhere. Us as GE Vernova, and we believe that's super important. We have a couple of references, and when I say a couple, it's probably double to triple digit. It's not exactly, it's like a new invention. So let's say like we don't only have nice pictures, but really something which we have done. The references we have is typically up to 420 kV. And I think that's important to mention here, being aware that in Ukraine the voltage level goes up to 750 kV. But I mean, let's say the voltage level which is beneath is 330 kV. So that means like the solution which we are proposing here is really fit for purpose for the DSO across all voltage levels. So really, let's say it's a flexible configuration. It's not necessarily off the shelf, but it is something which we can engineer and design to the needs of our customers. And most important, it will then allow us, and we had the opportunity to discuss jointly together with the partners who are on stage here with me today, to receive like how is it, what are the needs, and how can we, let's say, like really optimize the solution. I want to, let's say, like continue with a couple of pictures, no writing, because I think it's like a couple of pictures is more than 1,000 words. But at number one, it really, let's say, like demonstrates that it's a proven technology. It's something which we have done in the past, which we've delivered, and really, let's say, like try again just to see, it's like, so what's it all about? At the end of the day, let me try and really simplify it. We have a substation, typically in a configuration of 3 containers, which has been seen on the slide before. So typically you have one container with a power transformer, you have one container with a switchgear, you have one container with a control and protection system inside, so really with a heart. And it's like you put it on a let's call it a standard truck, and a standard size container, you can transport it to site, either via road or by train or other means, where you can offload it and connect fast to the grid, and that really enables you a certain flexibility, and especially that you're mobile with your solution. The flexibility is key because it allows you to, let's say, like really bring the substation from one side to another side, really where it's needed. Meaning like you can connect it to a destroyed substation, which ensures the continuous flow of power. You can fix the substation, you can dismantle it, you can connect it, you can bring it to the next location. And we believe that is of importance, and certainly it's like increased value. Once again, very much appreciating the collaboration we're having here, and more than happy, let's say, like, to really continue together. So what's the purpose? It really is a solution which you can use in emergency cases, also in case of natural disasters, but let's say, like, which is more the case as we speak here today, when it's damaged or in case of demolition. You have special events for short-term capacity increase required, but let's say also for the reconstruction, repair, or maintenance of your primary substation. Because like even if you have your substation running and it's not destroyed, it needs to be maintained, which is not to be excluded, and it really gives you, let's say, like a short-term solution. As you can see on the pictures, these are, let's say, like different examples, and the idea is only to just say, it's like, we do have the possibility to configure it, to design it, to engineer it, really, let's say, like, to the needs. As we speak here, especially for our partners in Ukraine, the idea is, let's say, like, not to come up with a lot of designs, but let's say, like, really limited to 2 or 3 designs that you can really ensure exchangeability. So what are really the key benefits? Number one, it's like you have the mobile installation. So you have the possibility to relocate. It's like you're not stuck to one specific site. You don't have to keep it on where you've brought it first, but it really, let's say, like, allows you to bring it from A to B across the country as long as you have accessibility to site. You don't have civil works. And we believe, like, that's a key advantage because, like, and we've heard it before on stage, the problem with civil works is often to get permits on time, on place, when you need it. In that case, it's like you can really just bring your trailer, you disconnect it, you take the truck, and then you really continue with your work. It's a fully assembled delivery, meaning it's a fully factory-tested system which will be able to deliver, and we can ensure, let's say, that pre-commission on site is handy, and what the commitment we have clearly, let's say, that we will support to do the connection, to train the team, to maintain the team, to really understand the piece of equipment they're going to install and use. You have flexible configuration. It's not only that we have the different designs, but it's more important, and also, like, Artem, that's something we had the possibility to discuss yesterday evening, but as I said, like, you can really adapt it to the needs. You can exchange the transformer, you can maintain the switchgear, you can exchange the containers because they are interconnected with each other, so you have a very high flexibility. And short delivery time. And when I say short delivery time, it's comparatively short delivery time. It's typically, let's say, like, anywhere between 12 to 18 months, because also us as GE Vernova, we are bound to our supply chain. But we believe, let's say, like, to the global network we have in place, that we have a good and sophisticated supply chain in hand, which really allows flexible elements in here. So that really, like, allows also the possibility of stock, because a substation which is fixed, it is where it is, you leave it. But let's say, like, the mobile substation really allows you to stock it or destock it easily. Short startup. So it really means, like, once you have the substation in place, you need to connect them, and then you can really start your system really long, so you have rather short commissioning times. We are all aware that commissioning sometimes is a bottleneck, but here's, like, you really have the possibility to be fast. And you have, let's say, low dismantling costs, so it really is a sustainable solution. What we believe also, what is important to mention here, we are, let's say, in cases to conclude on 2 of these solutions, which are funded by the French government. We believe it will be closed this year, that we really have the possibility to fund it. And what is also important for us is that the solution we're trying to bring to the ground is, like, we really try to integrate local content as much as possible. And having said that, it's like, for instance, in that case, the solution which we're proposing here will include a Ukrainian fabricated power transformer. And as we go along, we believe that we can further integrate it. So long story is that we really consider ourselves being a solution provider from A to Z, that really start from engineering, constructing, manufacturing, to the final supply delivery, including maintenance, but also full support from our side, as good as possible, across international funding possibilities, really ranging from the United States over Asia, Europe, and France. Thank you very much.
Thanks to our panelists. And the next speaker is Sergei Zuyov, Finance Director of DTEC Grids. And we kindly ask you, Mr. Zuyov, to share with us your experience in attracting investments and long-term planning, because I'm sure that most of the participants, they have come to the conference with the purpose of finding finance instruments for creation and or implementation of their long-term development plans.
Thank you, and good afternoon. First of all, let me express my big gratitude to the organizers of this conference. It's a big pleasure to be here. Just standing here behind the scene for 2 days, and I see how active people are, what is the level of interest. It's really amazing, and thank you very much for that. So before we start, and I would like to talk about a few things. Today and tomorrow, I represent DTEC Grids. And before I start with today, just a quick introduction and a small video for 30 seconds, please. So, a few words about who we are. And as DTEC Grids, we are part of DTEC Group, the largest private company in the energy business in Ukraine. We have different companies in our, DTEC has different companies in the portfolio. We have energy, thermal generation, renewable business, oil and gas, trading, and grids as part of that. Here is the grids. We operate 5 regions, 7 DSOs. We are in remaining part of Donetsk region, Kiev and Kiev region, Dnipro, and Odessa region. Donetsk, which is under control of Ukraine. We have in total 5.6 million customers, almost 190,000 kilometers of grids, and almost 14,000 employees, 40% market share in total distribution of energy. Again, talking about today, that's what we are facing right now. Unfortunately, the level of destruction which we faced was also outstanding. For instance, when Kiev region was, north of Kiev region was liberated, back in 22, almost 70% of the grids were damaged there. Within the record 45 days, we restored light back to the families of more than 260,000 families. We restored almost 10,000 kilometers of power lines, almost 3,000 facilities. That was restored within the 45 days. Every day we are actually restoring light back to the houses of our customers. Right now, right this second, some of our employees are taking risk to their life, working under the Russian shelling somewhere on the territory which is very close to the war zone. And of course, those people are heroes. But we are having that bad situation as a moment, but of course, that is our priority. One of the biggest priority. But our next priority is our tomorrow, our future. And what we think, we understand that we keep optimism. We believe that the war will be over, and when it is over, we need to be ready. We need ourselves to be ready to implement a full-scale modernization program as soon as the external circumstances will be positive and investments could be coming back to Ukraine at full scale. We need to do everything possible from our side, dependent on ourselves, that we are ready for that full-scale restoration. And for that, we have developed a program, long-term investment program, which will be for 10 to 15 years, which is based on the main pillars, which are reliability, flexibility, efficiency, energy transition, integration of the distributed energy, all those topics which are very important for all speakers here probably, and of course sustainability. And that would mean for us 7 billion euro in total. That's not, I should distinguish, that is not an investment plan, that is our need. Of course, there is a big difference between the need and the plan. In order the need to be implemented and to become a plan, a lot of things should be done from our side, and also a lot of things depend on the external circumstances. But as I said, we are trying to do everything possible from our side, that we are ready. Many of people who are sitting right now in this room are helping with that, helping us with many important projects. And of course, that huge investment plan of 7 billion euro, which will be possible after the war is over and the Ukraine will have a physical guarantees for the security, and we can start a full-scale restoration. We are going step by step. So what we start with, and that is what we are doing right now, right today. We start with the Kyiv region as the first pilot project, Irpin and Bucha, those places which are unfamous, which suffered the most from the war. And here we are starting already the pilot project, which will help us to test, to understand how all the modern solutions, which will be the background, the basis for our future full-scale reconstruction, how those solutions could work right now and right here. So we completed a digital twin of mid-voltage grid in Kyiv region, and that is the project what we are working on right now. We do have progress on essential parts of this project, and that is ongoing, and that would be, as I said, the first step for us to understand, to test, and to see how we will be making the full-scale reconstruction. The target for the full-scale reconstruction for that 7 billion for us would be very simple. Our vision is that grids are an essential and one of the most important elements for the whole reconstruction of the country, and that's why our grids should be the same quality level, the same standard as is in the EU. So that's why, in order to do that, we have developed our long-term investment plan. The next priority, which as well, one of the most important topics at the moment, and we are currently actively working on that one, is full integration of the smart meters. At the moment, we do have, our penetration of smart meters is slightly higher than 20%. And of course, we would like to improve that up to 100%, because smart grids, smart meters are the most important part of the future grids, of the smart grids. Without having full implementation of smart meters, you cannot see what is going on with the consumption, with the flexibility, efficiency, sustainability of your lines. And right now we are working with core, the largest suppliers of smart meters in Europe, and we try to test, to understand which technology. There are some variant technologies available around that smart meters world, and we are trying to understand which technology will be the best for us. And of course, as I said, that would be the next priority for us in order to go full speed with our long-term investment need. And of course, there are other pillars which are very important. We need to achieve full level of automatization. Again, that's an important pillar for the grid of the future, to have a full-scale automatization of our grids of 10 kV mainly, but not only. We are also having project like our colleagues showed with potential upgrade to the European voltage standard. And this project again will be probably the first stage will be as part of Kyiv region pilot project. But we do have all those teasers, and each of that project is a new set of suppliers, partners, and here some of those partners which are helping us are present as well right this moment. And of course, the need which was highlighted by peers from other DSOs from Ukraine is transformers. Some of our transformers are destroyed almost every day. some of our transformers are simply overloaded or obsolete or too old, inefficient. And for us, replacement of transformers will be having a direct full impact on losses, loss reduction, efficiency reduction, sustainability reduction, and transformers, unfortunately, you cannot go to the supermarket and buy it on the shelf. So you need a lot of time to produce. They are costly, and without transformers, you cannot do like long-term grid modernization. We are here for 2 days. We had a lot of discussions with many people interested in Ukraine and reconstruction, rebuilding of Ukraine. We are open for partnership in many dimensions, in many ways, suppliers of equipment, financial institutions, EPC contractors or companies providing services, strategic players from the market. They are all potential strategic partners for us, and we value cooperation and interest of all those people which are coming to us, which are asking, and we are fully open. Thank you very much, and Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава! Okay, so as you can see, we're working, our Ukrainian companies working not just on short-term needs, but also on their mid and long-term planning. So we're welcome international companies, organizations, financial institutions to work with us to build a new energy future of Europe. And we sincerely thank our panelists. I hope that in a year we will meet again and talk about the results of the projects and solutions presented today. If anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me or the speakers directly to discuss it. And Ukrainian companies, especially system operators, are open to cooperation and are ready to discuss investment opportunities. Thank you very much, and I think we can wrap up our session and move on. Thank you. Have a nice day.